Dear viewers, Cyberpunk 2077 didn't change my life, change the landscape of gaming, awaken my third eye, or make my parents love me. Wait, you guys already know what Cyberpunk is? Why am I explaining it to you? You already know about all the controversies. Let's just start off with the story. Here you play as V, a customizable mercenary choosing from one of three life paths, those being Nomad, Street Kid, and Corpo. I chose Street Kid because I'm all about that life, lad. You know, we span you.
Stay fresh. Don't use drugs. Drugs are only good for making money. You want to train, use steroids. They're off chops.
After completing every life path introduction, you will meet Jackie Wells, who becomes your best friend in Night City extremely quickly. After the life path section ends, you go 6 months into the future, accompanied by a time lapse of cool shit you guys did. A time lapse. After viewing this 2-minute cinematic of shit you wish you could be actually doing, the game just expects you to believe that you guys are the most well-known mercenaries capable of infiltrating the most dangerous company in the United States. So after you go and infiltrate the most dangerous company in the United States, Jackie dies, and you have to install the highly sensitive chip into your brain. You eventually get to the location where Dex, the guy who gave you the job, is staying. The car AI Delamain tells you it's too late for Jackie and asks where you want his body to be sent. After all said and done, you walk into the dilapidated hotel in front of you, not knowing what awaits.
Your face got blood all over it. Bathroom's there. Go get yourself cleaned up. Can't risk it, V. Remember our first convo? Seems I've chosen
fucking kill you!
life after all. No blaze of glory for me.
You've all probably seen that Keanu Reeves is in the game by now because you've had it forced down your throat by promotional trailers, memes, toys, reviews, and whatever else they're able to get you to waste money on. If you thought he was going to be a minor celebrity cameo like I did, then I don't know what to tell you besides I hope you like the John Wick trilogy. That's right, Mr. Wholesome is a chip in your brain that tries to manipulate you into becoming him. But who is he exactly? Johnny Silverhand, a terrorist. You can tell the devs wanted you to like this guy and grow accustomed to him, but they just had to make him the most despicable fucking character of all time. I can't put into words how much I dislike Keanu's character, at least throughout most of the game.
What? You're starting to remind me of me, 50 years back. Minus the charisma. An impressive cock.
The bond between him and V feels so forced that I was wondering when V would just pull the chip out himself to shut out the white noise that is Johnny Silverhand. V's constantly looking for a solution, talking to anyone who thinks they may be able to help him. The guy who helped you get to the Ripper dock after Dex shot you, Goro, thinks he can get you help, but he wants you to help him get revenge on the son of Arasaka's CEO. That was a lot of helps in one sentence. The friendship that grows between them is so unexpected yet great. Goro and V talk about the differences between American and Japanese food while preparing to raid one of the most guarded facilities in America. They appreciate the sights of Night City and even joke with each other through the in-game phone. If Johnny Silverhand had developed this sort of relationship with the player, I wouldn't now despise Keanu Reeves. I'm gonna go on a little bit of a tangent here, not connected to what I was talking about before, but the thing that really stood out to me about this game was how it dealt with mental health. I mean, the overall tone of Cyberpunk is so depressing that anyone will need to take a daily dose of sertraline, but I'm more talking about how V's life is affected after he finds out he's dying. He starts to get more anxious, depressed, and loses his charisma throughout the story. But as you gain more friends and hope to eventually be cured, you notice he starts becoming more like himself. I know I could have included this more fluidly, but it stood out to me so much and I haven't seen many other people talk about it. I've already spoiled a little bit of the game, but now I'm getting into the ending. So if you're one of those people who needs 5 minutes of forewarning, get out of here. All the endings in Cyberpunk are fucking great. I went straight through the story and technically got the worst ending after completing the laughably easy last mission and helping out Hanako, the sister of Arasaka's CEO. She finally gets rid of the chip containing Johnny Silverhand. V is unsure of who he is and is noticeably more distressed. V goes through the same day many times completing tests given to him by an Arasaka employee. Another doctor comes and tells him that he's sick, with a sickness that I can't remember the name of. Anyways, he tells him that he only has a few months to live, not likely to survive the winter. The doctor gives you two options. You can either go back to Earth and live out the rest of the time you have, or have them do the same thing they did to Johnny Silverhand and create an engram of your mind and hold it until they find a suitable body. I chose to go back to Earth and live out the rest of my life. I talked to Sting16, a dear friend, about my ending, and he said mine was the worst you could get. But I didn't see it like that. I think it's a perfectly fine, bittersweet ending. It's also a lot better than just killing yourself, I guess. There's 5 other endings depending on how many side quests you complete. Speaking of side quests, the side content in Cyberpunk is just as good, if not better than the main story. Each side job or NCPD hustle feels unique and gives you a chance to delve into the lore the developers had to miss the birth of their children to create. For example, there's a side job where you have to talk to a depressed cop who won't come out of his apartment. You have to wait before talking to him, so naturally I left him to suffer in mental agony until I finished the story. But when I came back trying to quickly get through the quest, I was surprised when he slammed the door in my face and told me to go away. I wasn't satisfied with that outcome, so I reloaded a save and was more compassionate towards him. He invited me inside, and from there I basically told him to stop being depressed. I left the apartment and waited a few hours to see the outcome as the game told me to. When I came back, he fucking killed himself! And I watched his partner crying outside his door. I reloaded the save, again, and actually took in the dialogue and asked questions. You find out that his best friend died and nobody really cares. After you're done talking to him, you can go to the cemetery where he's buried and you find out he is a tortoise. When you go back to talk to the officers who originally gave you that quest, they feel insecure that he would rather talk to a turtle than them. And that's what makes them actually go and talk to the guy. And the thing is, this is just one side quest. There's around 80 in the game, with most offering the amount of player choice this one did. And if they don't offer many choices or consequences, they're fun in their own regard. For instance, I encountered a random side job while exploring the city. This guy is groping himself and begs for you to take him to a Ripper dock. You can take him to the Ripper dock before his penis implant explodes, or you could just say no and watch him spontaneously combust. Bottom line, Cyberpunk probably has the best story and side content of any RPG I've played in the past decade. Besides this one deserves its own video, which I'm not gonna make, but it just. Cyberpunk 2077's gameplay is pretty average for 2020 standards. You kill, sneak, hack, talk, and loot your way through missions to obtain an award, which can be Eurodollars, cybernetics, weapons, or clothing. Like most RPG games, after completing these quests you gain experience and level up. Cyberpunk has 2 leveling systems, those being your regular skill tree and street cred. If you've ever played Sleeping Dogs, street cred works similar to the face level system, whereas you complete more objectives, you are given more perks such as discounted items and weapons. The skill tree is what you expect with 5 skill trees to input your points into, with sub-trees to upgrade more specific aspects of each skill. Just think of a slightly more convoluted special system from Fallout 4. The combat here doesn't feel bad, but instead extremely artificial. There will never be any specific strategy to beating an enemy. Instead, you'll either beat them with ease because you're a high enough level to do so, or you get punched once and get sent into the stratosphere. And by the time you nearly end the story, even if your character isn't max level, you'll still beat cyber psychos and other bosses in under 30 seconds. This clip perfectly encapsulates every combat encounter I had in Cyberpunk 2077. Alright, I want to see how easy it is to beat this guy. Let's see if I can do it in under 30 seconds.
I'll rip out your spine!
A little slow-mo. Done. I talked about cybernetics before, and most of them in-game are sadly useless. There are a few cool ones though, like mantis blades, increased leg strength which let you charge or double jump, gorilla grip hands, and cyber whips. The funniest thing about the jumping cybernetics is you can easily break the game just by jumping on rooftops. The stealth here is sorta like...
Take a picture. Nice and close there. I think that's...
Yeah, just don't use stealth. In regards to vehicles, you will be driving them a lot, which is a first for CD Projekt, and man does it feel like it. If you thought the driving in GTA 4 was bad, click off the video and don't even think about buying this game. Somehow they've made the driving both slippery and sluggish, tight and loose. Trying to turn a corner leaves 5 people dead, and crashing into a rock the size of Uluru disintegrates it. At least they made the cars and bikes look great, especially the bike inspired from Akira, which I use for most of my playthrough. Now, let's reel it in a bit and remember that Cyberpunk 2077 is classified as an RPG game. And it feels like halfway through the game's development, CD Projekt Red forgot that. Do you guys remember watching the gameplay at E3 where they showcased the branching paths you would be able to take in the story and how no 2 players would have the same experience? That was a lie. The game showcased at E3 2018 and 19, and the game that was delivered to us in December of 2020 were 2 different products, I believe. This could have been due to the game's development being rushed or the director's vision of the game changing, but nonetheless, this is an RPG game in the same vein that Far Cry 5 is an RPG. I don't know what kind of point I was trying to make there, but it's not a good RPG is the bottom line of what I was getting to. The performance of Cyberpunk has been a point of contention for many gamers, and for good reason. This game runs like shit. Let me out! What? This little graph showing the recommended and minimum specs are a joke. If you thought you were going to be able to run this game with a 3200G in 1060, expect to be going to the Steam refund page faster than I go to the toilet after eating a block of feta cheese. Even though my situation in regards to the computer hardware might be better than some, I couldn't get the game to run above 50 FPS on a 2060 and Ryzen 5 3600 without using the quality DLSS option. If I can get Red Dead Redemption 2 to run at high and ultra settings above 60 FPS, this game has no excuse to run this poorly. The game fails to load properly without an SSD, even with slow hard drive mode on, stuttering is frequent, audio clipping is frequent, and sometimes the audio will cut out altogether. The inventory menus can just refuse to open until you pause the game and wait a few seconds. AI stops working and crashing a car has the chance to send you into an alternate dimension. I wish I could cop out and say, hey, don't worry about the bugs, if you could ignore them, but you can't. The state this game came out in performance-wise is pathetic, and nobody should stand up for CD Projekt no matter how much they pander to the gaming community with their free DLCs and painfully unfunny EULA. I'm sure at some point this game will be a technical marvel people will use to benchmark their systems, but for now, enjoy your slideshow if you're unfortunate enough to own a PC a year or 2 old. At points, Cyberpunk 2077 was the best game I played in 2020, blowing me away with its performances, setting, music, side missions and animation work. But the countless bugs, underwhelming combat and unfulfilled promises diluted my experience so much that it's hard to continue playing to even get footage for this review. And it was hard enough to get the footage anyway because I encountered a bug where this guy would just keep calling me and it raised my CPU percentage up to 100%. I don't know what that was about, but to fix it, I went and talked to the guy and went through all his dialogue. So if you have that problem, do that. The question is, after CD Projekt releases the patch, will the game get any better? They released a patch a few days ago, and no it didn't. I wrote something completely different here in my review because I've taken so long to make it, but it didn't fix much, for me at least. But in a new game, who knows, maybe. If you go into Cyberpunk with tempered expectations after all the patches have come out and you see it on sale for $20, all DLCs included, you will enjoy it very much. But 90 Australian dollars for this game is definitely too steep, especially if you're playing on an older system or a previous gen console. Wait, you're still here? You sat through my voice for 14 minutes? And you cared about the video enough to stay back this long? Do you need psychiatric help? What can I do? No, but seriously, thank you for staying back. Even if it's just a few people, my friends or whatever. I want to give a shout out to Regular Discourse and Fred Smellybottom on Twitter for reading and reviewing my script. Sting16 for providing that classic photo. And myself, because fuck, this video was such a pain in the ass to make. I know this video isn't perfect. I'm ready to take any constructive criticism. If you want to leave it down below, or message me through YouTube or join my Discord and message me through there. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know when I'm making my next video or what it's going to be about. I have a few topics I'm trying to write a script for. And I'll see you when I see you, which is hopefully not in 3 months' time where I put out a half-ass review. See ya.